Yes, I. Yield I. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Perfect Balance Trodclass, a place where conscious and like minded individuals are guided towards the full realization of their true potential through collective reasoning. We have with us today Bingi. We
It
have
dance
with
for
us
life.
Yaga, aka Teacher Art. Okavongo is here somewhere. And I'm yours truly, Ras Dada. And we are the Perfect Balance Trad class. You know, this week was a very eventful week in terms of Caribbean, well, Afrobean um, alliances and political standings. We see where Jamaica have decided to break a decades long agreement which they had with the Cuban um, Cuban
Doctors,
leadership, Cuban leadership in terms of their global mission project, which they have been doing for some time, where they sent out doctors and nurses, medical professionals, to assist in the Afrobean community. So we have countries like Jamaica, which benefited greatly from this. We have countries like Trinidad and Tobago, which I believe they benefited from this as well. You have countries like
Mhm.
you name it. I believe that a lot of the Caribbean countries
Guyana,
were
all these countries
were
benefited.
affiliated with
The Lesser Antilles, all
Cuba in
sure.
this, you know.
All, yeah,
So they had them see this development this week, right?
yeah.
yeah, man. One of the biggest news
Mm-hmm.
in our region, apart from the crisis we are going
Mm-hmm.
in our Persian Gulf.
Wow. So what do them feel about this?
Well, I think we this is a real historical thing. What leads to all of this, right? We know for a fact, right,
Mm-hmm.
from the end of the Spanish American War till 1960, Cuba was in alliance with the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
We know that for a fact, right? America had assets in Cuba. Cuba did business with America solely being in this region.
Mm-hmm.
After the revolution from 1960 onwards,
Mm-hmm.
Cuba aligned themselves, Castro, with Russia, USSR at the time,
Mm-hmm.
historically, right? From
Right.
that time till now, Cuba has had an embargo. Over 60 years of embargo by the United States based on them making an alliance with Russia, right?
Yeah.
Over 60 years of oppression. Now, the Caribbean now has always had some kind of form of trade and agreements with Cuba.
Right.
Cuba, Cuba provides the West with the most medical professionals out of any country. A country that has been under embargo for over 60 years
Yeah.
still provides the West with the most amount of medical professionals, right? But besides that, the US wants to end that. How do they end that? By pressuring these countries not to do business with Cuba, including ending their agreement with doctors to have doctors come in and work in their countries. It's a dread thing
Yes,
because
sir.
countries like in the Caribbean are going to fall to the pressure. They're going to, and a lot of them have fallen to the pressure from the United States, whatever that pressure be, economically, free movement within the region, and that's the threat. Blaze might work again.
Yes, we have to really look on this 50 year. And if we take an analogy from the game of cricket, 50 is a milestone in the game of cricket. And if a batsman He's at the crease and play 50. Him raise him back to the crowd and him celebrate. And that goes a part of his proficiency in the game.
It's a statement of accomplishment.
It's a statement of accomplishment, I have seen. So the mission was a part of Cuba's independence. One of their greatest product, probably outside of sports, is medical internationalism, where they send doctors, as being rightly said, to different countries in the world who normally have a shortage of doctors. So we realize that they do a valuable and interested work in the community, especially in our rural communities in Jamaica, as we know. So they have the rural clinics and the hospitals that them serve, and these underdeserved communities that would not be getting these services otherwise. And it's hundreds of professionals. Cuba send these specialists to Jamaica, and also Jamaica send people to Cuba to go and study, not only in medicine, but in different fields, in different areas throughout this 50 year. So this is an agreement we have from back in the 70s in a Michael Manley time, and we don't want to politicize the argument, even though it's a political argument. But we're looking at the facts and we're looking at the evidence. This is a symbolic gesture of Caribbean solidarity, and it has been serving the Caribbean throughout all this time, and it leaves a bad taste in the mouth of the people who benefit from this medical service that these people offer throughout the Caribbean.
Right. So you talk about people who benefit from this, right? So the consideration here, if we come outside of the political arena and stay to the medical
Feel.
health and wellness area of a country's development, we can see that the benefit that this Cuban mission project has done over these decades has been tremendous, because we look on the Afrobean going through the recent COVID pandemic, where the services provided by these health and medical professionals was invaluable, right? So that's a tremendous benefit there in a time of crisis, right? So it's just sad when really.
Dada, it's important to note, that wherever there's a disaster, wherever there's a crisis, Cuban doctors are some of the first set of doctors to be on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
First set of doctors to be on the scene anywhere at all in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been offering this service not only to global south countries, but they've also offered it to any country who experience a disaster.
Right, because they list that they're involved in over 56 countries globally.
Mm-hmm.
56 countries they're involved in this globally, which now obviously with the turn of events is going to be less, because some of them have now decided to abdicate themselves from being involved in these agreements anymore, as a result of the immense pressure coming from the US. And as we talk about now, the immense pressure coming from the US, it brings me to a thing now where we're
What pressure? What pressure is coming from the US?
As if to say that if you are affiliated with these countries that I am not affiliated with, then you're going to be treated as such.
Right.
You understand? If you're affiliated with these countries that we're not affiliated with or allied with, then you're going to be treated. You're going to get the same
classical
treatment.
bullying.
Yes.
Threats of economic trade, threats of medical training, threats of banking, threats of economic embargoes, threats of tariffs. They use multiple things across the board to make sure you understand where they're going to take it.
Right.
And you as a small country, now you thinking, hey, what choice do I
Do I
have?
have? Right. But there's
After
always a
seeing
choice.
But you always
after
have a
seeing what
choice.
happened
There's
in
always a
Cuba,
choice.
You always have a
after
choice.
seeing what happened in Cuba, I don't think the Jamaican Prime Minister want to take that risk. But I think the people would rather they take the Prime Minister.
Well, I don't know about the people because history shows that the Jamaican people are very fickle. Like they will talk a good game, but when it comes to the pressure, them not under the pressure well. Cause we saw it in the time of Manley, we see it in the time with Christopher Cook, you know. We see it multiple times where as soon as the pressure turn up, them just fool, them just like, all right, do or
Mm.
not. You understand? Yeah. So it's really for see the people them having that backbone, that ability if you can say, yo, we go withstand the pressure and stand up to this. Because the real challenge here and the real issue here is not about countries having disagreements or having conflict. The real issue here is the threat to international freedom. That is
And
the real
sovereignty.
that
And
is the real
sovereignty.
threat here. Yes, because if you cannot choose, you are in a they already sectioned the earth, right? So you have the Caribbean, you have North America, you have Central America, you have South America, you have Asia. The earth is sectioned off,
Right.
right? And you cannot have a relationship, an amicable relationship, a diplomatic relationship with your closest sovereignty without threat of all these things that have been listed previously: tariffs, visa removals, economic embargoes, and sanctions. You understand? Where is the freedom in the system that we are promoting? Since
But
we are saying that this is a system of freedom.
in this geopolitical arena at
Mhm.
present, right? We're not moving towards freedom, it, right? And the reason why we living in a technological age is authoritarianism, right?
Mhm.
And we see it happening where people sovereignty is not a consideration of the dominant force. There's no such thing.
Only their
You are
sovereignty.
no, they don't care about your
That's what I'm
sovereignty.
saying. Only their
Yeah,
sovereignty.
yeah, only
That's the
their
only
sovereignty,
concern.
and this
Only their
All right.
and this is evident
hmm
on what is happening right now. It is very
globally.
evident. You're talking about, or what's going to happen. They restrict your movement as a human being.
hmm
As a human being, you're supposed to be able to be free, go wherever you want, right? Without restrictions. But in this geopolitical world that we live in, that is not what is happening. And it's just gonna get worse.
Right.
I want to play a video, Dada.
hmm
I want to play an audio of a debate in the Standing Finance Committee in Jamaica, where the minister or mistress of Foreign Affairs were asked about the situation, and this is her response. Let me know if you can hear it. Under this practically the same terms of the
Mm.
MOU, why the sudden urge to renegotiate the terms of the MOU? Did you get complaints from the Cubans working here about their working conditions? Their the the agreement expired in 2023, and we've been trying to negotiate it since then, to renegotiate, to renew. There were things that were um, less problematic. There were issues that were easily solved. We're going to put after the eye program and the general medical program together in one document. Not going to have two anymore. We're going to look at the issue of the ability to celebrate Cuban national days here, etc. Things that were very easily solved. And then there were some which were not. And those issues are problematic under Jamaican law. They had not been reviewed historically. In the closer review, it was clear that they needed to change. And we had hoped that with the sensitivity and good faith and relative, I would say, let me leave it at sensitive way in which the negotiations were conducted,
not in the public domain, that we would have in good faith been able to reach an agreement. And it is regrettable that we were unable to so do.
Minister, I'm reliably informed that you gave them a deal that they just could not accept. You wanted to pay them directly. They would pay taxes, and then I'm asking for confirmation. What's wrong with it? I'm asking for confirmation. Member, I'm asking for confirmation. Member, and you, is either yes or no? You have to remain focused on the line item on the page. All right, on the line item. Okay, all right, understood. All right, and declining your question. All right, understood. Chair. One final question. Was this decision to renegotiate it influenced any at all by the United States government?
No. This is, we're in an environment where it is clear that there have been concerns expressed by the United States government about the operation of Cuban medical programs across the world. So clearly they had expressed concerns about all programs, and accordingly would have expressed concerns about Jamaica. You would have heard us defending the program in various contexts, because when they come here, we do our very best to be respectful and ensure that our treatment of them accords with the laws of Jamaica and best international labor law practice. Where the program came into conflict with those things, unfortunately, we were unable to reach agreement on correcting them. And that is why the program has ended.
So we just decided to change the rules of the game after 50 years. Thank you.
We wish to interpret it as fine.
All right, so that is the reasoning that came out of a meeting with the standing committee where they were questioning Minister Kamina Johnson, the foreign minister for Jamaica, and she had categorically said that there was no pressure, there was no influence from the US. But we've seen now that Cuba have put out a statement on the contrary to indicate that, yeah, there were some massaging going on there.
You have the statement? The Cuba statement?
No.
Looking at the chat.
So we see it even get heated in the committee with some of the ministers in the committee, because they didn't appreciate the question, because it seems like Jamaica tried to find a workaround the situation where they wanted to pay them directly and collect the taxes, because it is said that at the end of the month, the salary goes to the Cuban government, and the Cuban government take what it wants and give the rest to the workers. And that is the model that has been using around the world, where they are claiming that is forced labor. US is concerned about forced labor, and that is one of the angles they are approaching this from, to say it has to stop. In addition to the blockade that they've got on Cuba. So there's a lot of things going on, and Jamaica rightfully is nervous about this situation and does not want to find itself in the situation where Cuba has been living for over 60 years now.
Yaga, it's still pressure, right? And it's pressure that make them do it. Pressure.
Dada.
Yes, I.
That's it? That's it?
The statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the statement before. What's going on? What else about it? What else about it?
When I already heard it.
Yeah, I read it before.
Okay, okay.
I read it before.
You know this reason, yeah?
No, not here.
You have to read it now.
So make we deal with the audio. Make we hear the item review on the audio that was just played, and the questions that were asked and some of the answers that were given.
So two things. Because first thing she said it wasn't pressure from
The US.
United States.
Mm-hmm.
But it's either it's pressure from United States, and we blame the United States, or Jamaica tried to lowball Cuba, which is worse than pressure from the United States.
Because them a shoot themselves in their foot same way.
Yeah, because if you're trying to lowball Cuba because they're in a war situation, 50 years of corresponding, 50 years of Cuba, because and this is most Jamaica get the most out of it. And Cuba get less out of it. You know what I mean? Because Jamaica don't have the doctors to go on. And it's not only doctors alone, because sometimes we say
Nurses
doctors,
as well.
doctors
Nurses.
biomeds, you know what I mean? A lot of
It's health
people,
professionals.
yeah,
Health professionals.
health professionals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is either Jamaica trying to take advantage of the situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And trying to use Cuba, trying to lowball Cuba, or
Mm-hmm.
is pressure from the United States? Which one you want to choose?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because one, we can blame America
Jamaica.
and say blame America say boy them pressure Jamaica, right? But if it is Jamaica trying to lowball Cuba, it's worse than America pressuring Jamaica,
Based on the
and
relationship.
and it feels like that's what she's saying. That's what she's saying. Jamaica tried to lowball Cuba.
The statement from the
And yeah,
Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
the other MP said like was like did they give them like because of the pressure from America, they give them like a offer they couldn't accept. Like
Mm-hmm.
something way over the water and they couldn't accept. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
So
So
the
it could be
state.
something like that either.
So
Too. I mean.
the statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Cuba. Cuba regrets the decision of the government of Jamaica to cease medical operation yielding to pressure from the US. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Cuba reports that on March 4th, the Foreign Ministry of Jamaica communicated to our embassy in that country the unilateral decision of its government to terminate the health cooperation agreement that has linked both nations for decades. With this action, the government of Jamaica yields to the pressure of the government of the United States, which is not concerned about the health needs of the Caribbean brothers. Cuba deeply regrets that in this way a history of fruitful and sustained collaboration is disregarded, one that has brought countless benefits to the Jamaican people who are now deprived of receiving the basic and specialized health services that Cuban collaborators provided. In response to the step taken by the government of Jamaica, In response to the steps taken by the government of Jamaica, the government of Cuba has made the sovereign decision to proceed with the return of the Cuban Medical Brigade. These health professionals leave behind an indelible mark and return to Cuba with the satisfaction of a duty fulfilled and the permanent willingness to assist wherever their spirit of solidarity is required. Cuba's work in Jamaica is an eloquent example of genuine cooperation. In the last 30 years alone, more than 4,700 Cuban collaborators have provided medical assistance on the Caribbean island. Currently, the brigade was composed of 277 professionals whose work has had a tangible and profound impact on strengthening the Jamaican health system. The historic results of this collaboration speak for themselves. More than 8,176,000 patients treated, 74,302 surgical procedures performed, 7,170 births attended, more than 90,000 lives saved. Likewise, through the Operation Miracle program, present in Jamaica since 2010, the sight of nearly 25,000 Jamaicans has been restored or improved. Cuban cooperation has also been decisive in projects for the control and prevention of diseases such as malaria and in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The most recent example of this dedication was seen after the passage of Hurricane Melissa, which severely affected the island. In those difficult circumstances, the Cuban Medical Brigade remained firmly at their posts, many of its members working for more than 72 consecutive hours and actively joining the task of recovering hospitals and communities. Faithful to the historic relations of brotherhood and solidarity that unite us with Jamaica, Cuba reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the Jamaican people, who will always be able to count on the selfless cooperation of Cuba. That was
Viva Cuba.
released. That was released on March 6, 2026.
That's
Right?
yesterday, bro.
Yes.
Yeah.
First day.
Yeah.
A a mighty statement, right?
Yes, sir.
Even through all this, right? Cuba still stands strong with the Jamaican people, right?
Mhm.
Cuba stands strong with them, even all this, because
Because of
they
them
know,
knows
right?
what's happening.
But they know what's happening too, right? And this is no coincidence. We know that this is pressure, right?
Mhm.
Because all these agreements, Jamaica, Honduras, Paraguay, Antigua, the Bahamas, Guyana, all these countries ended the agreement with Cuba around the same time. So
Right.
we know they're being pressured.
Mhm.
We know that. We know they fall, but yet it's a mighty statement because throughout all that, the Cuban still government still stand in solidarity with these people. But not only that, there's a bigger price, you know. This gap that is left with these doctors leaving
That's the
means more
problem. That's the
suffering
problem.
for the people, you know.
That is the
It's
problem.
separation, you know. Think about what's happening here, you know. Now, your development just went back 50 years, you know. To find a doctor now in rural areas, what happens to those people? What about these people who need medical attention right away? This year is a ramification that's going to be felt hard, bro. It's going to be a hard felt lesson. This is about humanitarianism. When you pressure countries into doing things like this, it means you tell them you don't care if your people suffer. I.
But the statement says that too. The
You don't
statement
care.
says they're
Look at this.
yielding to the pressure of these people who do have no concerns to
N-
the health benefits of the Jamaican people.
No
The statement says it.
concerns.
Look at this. So I'm saying the US pressuring these countries because it's not just Jamaica. They
Mm-hmm.
pressure
Yeah.
these countries to end their association with Cuba, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the US gonna fill the void because the void of the lack of medical personnel that are in this country is caused by the US taking away their medical personnel, offering them better wages, offering them all kind of offering them citizenship,
Mm-hmm.
offering them different things for them to leave the country
Mm-hmm.
and go into the US to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So that's why these countries are short of medical personnel.
Right.
No, so and Cuba stepped in to fill that void that was caused
Mm-hmm.
by the US, and now they are saying that. So is the US going to step in now and fill the void in
Not
in what way?
not at the same
Rate.
conditions of the
Not at the
Cuban
same
people.
rate.
No.
No, but in any way,
But
shape,
but
or
they
form. So
can't. They
what are
They
they
cannot.
are,
gonna
they
do?
can. They
What
can, but
are
they're
they
not
gonna
gonna do
do
it
now
at
about?
the conditions under the conditions that was being happening.
Ras,
Mm.
No, I'm saying,
you
hold on.
realize even in America there's a medical shortage.
Yeah, that's what
And this is
Okavango is
gonna
saying.
increase pressure. This is gonna increase pressure on these countries who have to take this decision that is detrimental to them because it seems like that's the lesser of the two evil
Mm-hmm.
that they have to deal with. So they
Right.
take that decision. It raises the concern, as Okavango said, these local doctors and these nurses need to be trained so that they can fill these roles. What is Jamaica going to do now? They're gonna hire doctors from overseas at a higher rate to fill this gap or to fill this void.
Look at this
These are
paper.
questions that the government need to answer and address as urgently to the people who need this care.
Look how hypocritical and oh, this doesn't make any sense at all by the United States, right? The United States is short of medical personnel, right? So
Hmm.
they go to these smaller countries offer their medical personnel incentive to come to their countries, right? These medical personnel were trained by Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them
trained by Cuba, then they take them and have them in their country working, but they don't want the Cubans to fill the void. So it's the chain effect. It's gonna still end up affecting America, because these medical personnel, you only getting them again from trained medical personnel to that standard, because we have to even highlight is the standard of the Cuban medical personnel make them so
world renowned.
in
World
demand.
renowned.
in demand.
World renowned, yeah.
World renowned.
Yeah,
World renowned.
the
Yeah, man.
standard, and this is by they acquired the standard with little and nothing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Imagine if they are the world, this embargo was lifted and they have all the resources that they
Resources.
think that
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
access to it.
Yeah.
And access to these things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying with this small access, with what they have created for the best doctors in the world, which the United States benefit from.
Mhm.
Because when they trained the doctors in these small countries, the Jamaica, the Honduras, and all these countries, the US give them incentive and bring them to the United States. And then they are saying, oh, our doctors is the best, or what this is the best. Your doctors are Cuban trained.
But Okavango, presently with the climate we living in, I don't think US concerned about that, because the US intent right now is to take over Cuba. So they so based on that and the kind of pressure that happening within the Caribbean, think about this: the countries that broke the agreement, they too, their citizenry, their medical population, they're gonna still migrate to America. Because now they don't have no restrictions on migration or coming here. These countries that break the agreement, they're going to send the people going to come to America. Not only that, the Cubans right now are going to be under so much pressure, and that's the way they're seeing it, that they too going to send their people here no matter what.
Bengi, you see, we have to acknowledge that this American regime or administration, what they want to call it now, is not the smartest, and we can see all the
No.
things that they're doing is not very smart. Because remember, it's 50 years Cuban is doing this, and no other government really tried to stop it. Because guess what? They saw the
beneficial
value,
to
they saw
everybody.
the void that Cuban was filling. You know what I mean? They saw it. That's why they didn't try to stop it. They could have stopped
Of
it long
course.
ago. They see the
Of
void
course.
that they were feeling, so they say, okay, Cuba is not with us, but hey, they have a big benefit in the region,
Mhm.
They benefit everybody in the region. So
But this is why they're doing that. This is exactly why they're doing that, because they don't want Cuba to be that beneficial in the region. Because now,
no.
when they take certain actions against Cuba, if they're doing that while these countries are benefiting from the services of these Cuban professionals, right? Then there's a likelihood that these countries are going to be like, oh, no, you can't do that. We're going to stand with Cuba. But now, when they remove that benefit from the people, there's no affiliation to them anymore. So it's easier for them to get their way.
What benefit are you talking?
The Cubans have over 50 years of offering these services to these countries. These countries
Oh,
benefit from this service,
okay.
right? So if they leave that in place, then there's a greater likelihood of these countries standing with Cuba in the event that they decide to take some kind of step against them.
Okay, Dada. Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying that the thinking that's just surface thinking, because the regime before, our government before, our administration before, they saw the benefit of Cuban giving this help to other countries. That's why they didn't stop it from a long time. So them trying to stop it now, it just lack of foresight. Because when that is stopped, these countries gonna go into what they call a medical crisis.
Yeah. They already,
So
but
on.
even with the Cuban support, a place like Jamaica was already in a medical crisis.
In a crisis already, right? We know it.
Even with the support.
Right? And it's not only Jamaica.
Not only Jamaica.
other Caribbean countries leave their country to come to Jamaica to get medical treatment. That means they must be in a worse place.
Right.
Yeah. So, this is
So the claim from US, which says there is human trafficking and forced labor. Do you think these claims should be taken more seriously in light of Caribbean solidarity and the Cuban medical mission?
I believe that these people are Cuban nationals, and they practice a different economic system than what the rest of the region practices and what the US practices. And if it is in line with their practices from their country and they have no issue with it, I believe that I don't have no issue with it either.
the
As long as
only
nobody not complain and you not get no reports of that effect.
Not even from saying nobody's complaining. What I'm saying is these people practice a different economic system to what the rest of the region practices. So if these policies that they're under are in line with the economic practices of their nation, then there should not be an issue. People will complain, people might not complain. But I'm saying this is the practice of this nation under its sovereign guidelines. Then who are you to tell them how to do? Nobody can tell you how to do what you do, brother.
So
we can't look at the
go on,
tree
look
that
about.
look at these things, you know. We can't look
You
at the
can't
tree
do
that
what?
we look at the root. And the root cause, while these countries, Caribbean countries have to go into the negotiation or these deal with Cuba, is because of the embargo placed on them by the United States. Because without the embargo, they cannot have a normal deal like everybody
Relation.
else. But because of this embargo, they have to find ways to go around the embargo. Right? So the root of it is the embargo. So leave the embargo and you get rid of that because that's the root of the and with America we talk about
But they won't. Why would they'll never lift the embargo. Right?
Well, you know, the
Because
man say at Cuba the
I
next
don't think they
target,
will
man. You
never
know,
live it.
the man say
They will
Cuba
never
the
live
next
it under
target,
these.
you know.
yeah.
Man say Cuba is the next target.
Yeah, when they fall, they'll just take it over. They're lifting
They've
nothing.
already got them under a blockade, you know. And when they send the tanker to Jamaica for oil, Jamaica refuse to give them the oil what them already pay for
Right.
because of the tension, the geopolitical tension where these large countries think them can pressure small countries all the time. And nobody says anything about these things. Nobody's talking about these things. Nobody's
Because
criticizing
there's a
them.
complete disregard for the policy of collective security. There's a
Yeah.
And
complete
international law.
disregard. Yes, there's a complete
And
disregard
I
for
want
that.
to be clear, right? There are a lot of countries in the Caribbean who still have their agreement with Cuba. So, even though we call out some countries, a lot of countries still have their agreements.
Irrespective of the
Well,
threats.
we have to say we have to watch and see how long these agreements last.
Because some countries end the agreement before Jamaica and maybe countries end it after.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we have to watch.
Look at this, right? Two runners, saying that they're fastest in the world, right? One runner say if he do sit-ups, that will make him the fastest person in the world. The other one say if they do short sprint, that will make them the fastest person in the world. They go at the finish, they go at the starting line, start the race, and to win the race, one runner decides to trip the other runner and then run and say, see, because they do sit-ups, they're not the fastest. That is the example of America and Cuba. They're trying to say that the system that Cuba have cannot work.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is to do everything to make sure it's not working. And when they see not working, they attack them just to make sure that the system that they have don't work. And then they look at it and say, okay, see, it don't work. It don't work. Right?
Okay, plug in your mic.
In the name of freedom and
Plug in your mic.
democracy.
Plug in your mic.
We're not mic.
Okay. All right. The audio sound away.
Oh yeah, when we use that. Okay. Means away, it's on away too.
Yes, sir.
We talk about the brain drain to US, but it's not only US. So we see the system at play. We have UK and Canada, the big three where we know from around the so where we have these doctors, and not only doctors and medical professionals, a
Trained
lot of professionals,
professionals,
a lot of
trained
graduates,
professionals, trained
a lot
professionals.
of trained graduates leave these countries looking for a greater and a better pastor because of what is being offered to them and the incentives that are on offer and the fact that they can do more when they are in these countries back home than when they are at home. So we need to see structural changes within the Caribbean and deeper cooperation between the Caribbean in training their professional and retaining them at home. So the key to that is paying better salaries and giving more incentives. So these governments, just like how they can find it to give politicians, they need to find it to give it to the teachers, they need to find it to give it to the doctors so that they want to stay home. What do you them view on that scenario then?
I think that the like we're saying when we speak about stuff like reparations, right? Repairing our our people, our nation as a result of the atrocities that we've been through. We realize that there has been social effects, there have been psychological effects, there have been economical effects, there have been a lot of effects as a result of the atrocities that we've been through, right? One of the effects is the psychological, which is what I want to talk about in response to what you're saying, right? So, psychologically, because we are socialized and culturalized through the education system, right? We have been socialized to think that success, progress, betterment is solely economic. So we go to school, and our intention when we go to school is to come out and make the most money we can make, to have the biggest house we can have, drive the nicest car we can drive, have the most money in the bank with the nicest clothes. These are the indicators of success, right? So I think that what we as a nation have to do is that we have to redirect our people away from this ideology. We have to get away from this ideology where we only see economic achievement as success. You understand? And until we do that, because patriotism is almost in our countries, patriotism seems to be like at an all-time low. Whereas in the other countries, like in the US, UK, these countries, patriotism is a major consideration in the decisions that people make. You understand? Patriotism, thinking about their nation and what is the benefit to their nation when they are making decisions, is a major consideration.
But
So
you would
we
think that people in the Caribbean are very patriotic
no,
because we
no,
know how to sing the national anthem and we know the national anthem. A lot of these people don't know their national anthems.
but that is not a signal of a symbol of patriotism. That is recollection.
True. True.
Patriotism is when you are going to make a decision, and in making this decision, the consideration of the effect on your country, your nation, is paramount in making that decision.
Mhm.
That is
First and
patriotism.
foremost,
Yes, man.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
patriotism. So
Absolutely.
so if we are patriotic people, like you have some people who are patriotic, don't get me wrong, because you have some people who will say, yo, it no matter, me nah leave my yard, me nah go somewhere else, or me nah do this.
It
Because
must
what?
have patriotism,
Right.
right?
You understand?
Balance.
So I think that as a society we have to redirect that focus. And when we redirect that focus and reinstill this patriotic aspect of our development, then we will see changes in a lot of these things that we're thinking about.
But in a materialistic world, Raz,
Mm-hmm.
materialistic technological world,
Mm-hmm.
the programming is
Mm-hmm.
just based on what the I just described.
Right.
It's based on these things. It's based on luxuries,
Mm-hmm.
having things. That's what the programming is geared towards, right?
Mhm.
That's why they advertise it to you. And
Right.
they advertise it to you globally.
Mhm.
The system would have to change. And
Right.
changing the system
Mhm.
is what has to happen. But that's easier said than done.
Agreed.
Not
Because
not with the American influence and the subculture that we are experiencing
Mm.
with the youth them these days, where them just take on everything American. It's
But the
all about
but again, yeah, the reason why that is because they're not being taught about their own culture, and they're not being taught to value their culture.
and their
All the
history.
marketing is geared towards a particular lifestyle, and because this is what they're taught, then this is how they view life.
But
That's
but
what
but
formulates
Rasen, every
their
generation
perception
that
of
is
life.
true there.
Hmm?
That is always true. The masses move a certain way. They
Hmm.
shift in a certain direction.
Hmm.
And that's what you see happening here
Hmm.
right now, because of the time we living in.
Yes,
And
sir.
sometimes it's not just what I'm taught, because sometimes they are being taught, but the American engine is pushing the machine,
Values,
is pushing their
American
culture,
values.
right? And they have the biggest machinery, right? So you tell them one thing, and then you tell them one time, and they hear 50 times the American thing, everything, what I mean, where on the TV, in the music, everywhere you hear the American culture. And it's so
Right.
Influence.
overwhelming some of the time. Like, what I mean, it's hard to, like, is really youths have to sometimes find that themselves. What I mean? Find that themselves to say, oh, this is the way I'm going to go. I mean,
And
America love their country, I love
the
my.
funny thing about that to Okavango, like there was a time when the music would have bring enough of the youth them to that awareness within themselves, as you talk about. But then when you look and you see that even the society, the system try to fight even that. So even in that sense again, it try to minimize the ability of the youth them
Hmm.
to really
Hmm.
come into themselves again, brother.
Hmm.
But and this has always been, it's always been like that.
By design.
By
Yeah, it's
design.
always been like
By
that.
By
design.
design.
Because remember, it's just like our leaders in this country. They're
Mhm.
more gear themselves. Their mind is more towards the European country. You know what I
Mm.
mean? That's the thing they see as
Excellent
better.
point.
So, like in Jamaica, even though people from abroad love reggae and love dancehall, the hierarchy in
Them no love it.
originally no love reggae nor dancehall.
Mhm.
Like maybe now they find benefits in it. You know what I mean?
So them
But they still
tolerate
really
it, but
don't
them
like it.
still no love it.
And that's why, because a
Mm.
lot of people don't know that, most of the times you had more foreign music being played on Jamaican radio than Jamaican music. Even when reggae was at
That's
its
a
peak,
fact because
it
most of the royalty that comes in to
Goes out.
Jamaica
yeah.
Goes out.
goes out of the country because they
Hey,
play more foreign music
music. Yeah.
than
When
the
Bob Marley
music
was at
locally.
his peak,
Mm.
they were most playing your foreign
R&B
music.
and these things. Mm.
Yeah.
Yo,
And
but as you
I
talk
want
about
to
the
remind
leadership,
Dada,
sometimes you
Dada,
want to
before you go in it, I want to remind the viewers that we are reasoning about the fact that Jamaica ends the 50th year of Cuban Doctors Agreement and what it means for the Caribbean. What is the implication for Jamaica not renewing Cuban Doctors Agreement after 50 years? And what does that mean for the wider Caribbean and the global South? So if you like the message and you like the reasoning, share the live, share the channel with someone who you think might benefit from the reasoning that takes place on
yes,
the
sir.
Trodclass.
Yes, sir. Olivia Montague, 6407 says, do not swap your Cuban brothers and friends for any untrustworthy person that can turn you inside or upside down anytime they choose. This loyalty always pays back. So give thanks, Olivia Montague, for your comment. Give thanks for following the discussion. But Okavango, as you was talking about the leaders, I just want to tie it into the statement we make about patriotism. a lot of the things, a lot of the reasons why we have these situations is that even our leaders are not patriotic. Because if they were patriotic, they would make decisions to the benefit of the nation.
You say even though our leaders are not very, but
Mm.
that's always been the thing.
Right,
Because the patriotic
right.
always come from like people in the society pushing them to be patriotic. The Caribbean on a whole have a problem with patriotic leaders because we have leaders who see Europe,
Yes,
right?
sir. Mm.
They don't use. We're talking about Cuban doctors. They can make decisions because they don't use Cuban doctors. You know, they doctors in Miami.
Yes,
You
you're
know what I
right.
mean?
You're
You
right. You're
understand? So
right.
easy for them to just say, okay, go away with Cuban doctors. You know what I
Because
mean?
it don't
Because
affect them. It don't
it doesn't
affect them.
affect them. The
Don't
doctors
affect
is in
them.
Miami. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
It's just the patriotic people who are, you know what I mean, who doesn't have a voice. You're not going to hear them on your TV or on your radio.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or on your YouTube and social
See,
media.
say.
Those are the people that you're going to affect. You know what I mean? So forever since these leaders are never been patriotic. They've never been patriotic. Well, maybe they are patriotic, but not patriotic to Jamaica or the Caribbean country. You
True.
know what I
Them
mean?
pocket.
Something else. You know what I mean?
True.
Yes, and that's the problem. That's the problem right there. So they don't make patriotic decisions
True.
for the country. You know what I mean?
Next thing too, cause we had a reasoning. I don't know if you remember, we had a reasoning where there was this politician who had a big controversy about the having multiple citizenship, dual citizenship.
Yeah.
So that is the next thing I get to. That it's so up that some of them have like this to the extent
No,
where they have
no,
citizenship in the next country.
and that is, what they're doing now is having a way out. So if this not work out, my God.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Them
So
worried
that's
about
so
them
that's why they must
visa.
grab as much as them can grab too. Because when them get there, I'm not to use the way out, them need to have a cushion to make that way out too. So they must
Right.
try and grab.
I want
So one
to
of
say
the
something important,
planning.
right? I have something important I want to say. It's not, I don't really want to like say, blame, I put all the blame on a Jamaican or Caribbean government because we know
The
what
root.
type of pressure them can go under and the repercussions of the pressure. And when the pressure come, we know the people are gonna say, why you never work with America? When the food, we have the food shortage, when we have the oil shortage, when we have you know what I mean? The people are
The
gonna
people
turn
they
on
want to
them.
fly to America too.
The people are gonna turn on them. So
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? It's a tricky situation. A situation where you say, okay, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna side with Cuba or do something for the benefit of our people? Because it's the people
So
that go
put
suffer
it
now. The people that go suffer now. It's
But
the
put
but
it to
but
a
people.
but but
referendum and let
but
the
you know
people
what?
decide.
You know what? In instances like these are the instances where we have to understand what solidarity is too, right? This
Yeah.
is what breaks us down continually.
And we call for unity.
The continual test of divide and conquer works I. The solidarity is what we need now. Together we stand. We'll figure it out together, right? We have to put it to the test, because other countries put it to the test too, right? Meaning you have to solidify. If Cuba, as a lone wolf in this region, decide that they was going to align with the USSR, America number one enemy at the time, that shows you this commitment to principle roots, real principle, how you keep these agreements, this solidarity, and for 62 years they have been solidified in the commitment to doing business with an entity that is a thorn to America
But
in the western region. That
remember
says
as
a
well,
lot. So for the
Binky.
Caribbean countries, they're supposed to stick together roots, like
But
stick
Binky,
together.
remember as well that again was influenced by the US again, because they refused to work with Cuba. So as a result of that, Cuba for go seek other
Well, well,
alliances.
well, well,
To,
wait, well,
to,
but wait. No,
mm,
Ras, they didn't refuse to work with Cuba.
mhm,
They didn't refuse to work with Cuba. Cuba, remember, after from the Spanish-American War
mhm,
till the revolution in Cuba,
mhm.
Cuba was aligned with America,
Which is what I'm
right?
saying.
And we
Simple and
right.
truth.
So after that, once the Cuban government aligned itself with Russia,
Mm-hmm.
seize all American assets.
Mm-hmm.
Since then till now, they
You're
face
right.
this thing. But I'm saying
Right.
to the eye though, even under all that, at no point did the Cuban government
Bow
ever
to the pressure.
rethink,
Bow to the pressure.
rethink the commitment to Russia.
Yeah, man.
Never. And that's why I'm saying the Caribbean should learn from that what it means to have real principle and integrity. How you keep it together then. No, this one here, this one. No, you're supposed to stay together. Cuba
But
is a perfect example of what you
maybe
should be doing.
while Cuba is a perfect example of resilience, right? You are saying the Caribbean countries, other Caribbean countries should learn from Cuba, but maybe that's what they did. They learned from Cuba and said, we don't want to be a Cuba. We don't
Not
want
that
to be
lesson. Not
No,
that. Not that
we
lesson.
don't.
Not that
We,
lesson.
no. You're
Not
talking
that
about
lesson.
you're talking about economic development, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
But it is evident. It is evident that that is the lesson that they learn.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but
Because
I'm
otherwise they
saying,
would make a decision to
but
continue the program.
can we rank them? Do we rank them for making that decision
Yeah, we
to say,
can wrong them.
okay,
We can wrong them because we see that it's a decision that is not beneficial to them.
oh,
That's why we wrong them. Because
because are we saying that
because
Cuba
of the
now,
repercussion,
Cuba, the technology in Cuba, like they are so
antiquated.
yeah, right, or they can't access certain things like
Yeah,
the
antiquated
internet
technology.
and you know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah, modern technology or modern way of
Mm-hmm.
doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Cuba is like waiting in the 70s still,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
right? So a Caribbean country government will look at it and say, okay, we don't want to be that, we want to be up to date. Because remember,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a government, you know,
But
is
what's the
to
cost for being up to date?
hold on, let me finish. So a government is to always show like, hey, reason why we should be here is because we are doing this. Look what we're doing. We are upgrading this. We are building this. You know what I mean? Cuban government cannot they're not able to do that,
But they're
right?
able to do other things which are more valuable as a nation. Like they're able to send medical professionals to over
Yeah.
50 odd countries in the world, right? Which Jamaica couldn't do that
Yeah, but I'm saying
with all her
a
medical
Caribbean country,
technological
a
advancement.
Caribbean countries that are looking at they see that. And when they're looking at say, look at the other thing because the other thing that Cuba doesn't have that they have.
But right, but the
But which is more valuable?
the argument will be these countries have developed at a certain point, right?
Mm-hmm.
From so they are at a certain stage in their development, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the argument would be, hey, listen, what about those countries who do stand up? You could make alliances elsewhere. You don't need to make alliances only with America. Go elsewhere and make alliances. That's what you do. You could still
That is a
develop.
very important point. That is a very important point being raised there. And we've seen where in the geopolitical sphere, a lot of countries are forming different alliances and forming themselves into blocks and trading and supporting each other because of
Mhm.
these very same things
Yes.
that are happening, which is our unilateral decisions against smaller countries. And we've seen where America has gone in and taken Maduro away. And I'm sure other leaders are intimidated and threatened by that because of how easy it happens. And there is no outcry from the rules based order or the Western countries, so to speak. They're silent on the matter
Yes,
and
sir.
they flip flop from both sides from time to time because they are under the same pressure as well. And we see, based on what is going on in the geopolitical field now, where Spain has decided to stand up and said that, listen, we're not going to support this war, unjust war. Whatever the tariff is, whatever the sanction is, we stand by our decision and we're going to stick with our decision. So these are the balls, the sort of balls we need to see from our Caribbean leaders. And we had a reasoning like this last year when they made the statement about human trafficking and forced labor. And we came to the conclusion that the only leader in the Caribbean that has got balls was Mia Motley, because she stood up and she made some pronounced statement and clear statement so the people know where she stands and what is her opinion on the whole matter of Cuban sovereignty and its cooperation within CARICOM.
I want to forward to the whole Caribbean leaders meeting.
Take it back, man.
They are Cuba, bigger countries. They have the size to absorb certain things like sanctions or embargo. They have the smaller countries. A sanction or a embargo, something like that, will totally destroy a smaller country. They don't have the land and the space and the size to absorb those things. So we have to think about these things and say a Caribbean country can do this and we can decide other country. I don't think Caribbean countries have the size to absorb. Like you said about Spain a while ago, Spain say you can take the sanctions or whatever. They don't have the size to absorb a sanction.
Yeah, but Okovango, the ones that do stand up and are still standing up are still challenging the whole ideology, right? So if you challenge it together, I am saying together, it makes that challenge stronger. The more, the better. That's what it does, because right now it have countries who saying, well, all they do all they want until that time, right? But it's still challenging that whole bullies mentality, and that's what we're talking about. In solidarity, it work better when you have more.
As a block.
You see the whole
as a block.
As a block,
the whole rule-based order, I know, is really to protect smaller countries, like Caribbean countries and smaller, powers in the world. It's a protecting. What we need is these bigger countries to stand up to the bully, like Spain is doing. And I mean, and go against them. This is the only way. A small country like Martinique, you know what I mean? They hear that, you know what I mean, they're going to face sanction and face, you know what I mean, embargo. They can't withstand that. It's the bigger countries like Spain have to stand up to the bullies and stand up against people breaking the rule-based order, breaking the things that were put in place to protect smaller countries, you know what I mean, from things like this. You know what I mean? It's those countries that have stand up, those countries like the England and the Great Britain, France, those countries we have call out.
But we living in a new world order.
Yeah, we agree with that in Okavongo. We agree with that.
But
the
a new
reality
world
is, in
order.
order for them stand up, the people have to make the stands first. The people who they go through the pressure, them have to make the stands first, so that somebody can say, okay, yeah, we see them make a stance and we're going to stand with them. You understand? That is what we stand.
But we're not living in a rules-based society no more.
We already know this. Yeah. So, next thing to, Okavongo, what more I have to say to, as it relates to the leadership thing, right? You see, the people, right? The people of this situation where it's like we been socialized to think that technological advancement is the same as human advancement. And we have been cultured to think that technological advancement is superior to human advancement. And that is the correction that is required. Because as you're saying that the government is there to say, oh, we're doing these things and we're accomplishing these things, but they're not accomplishing human development in terms of morality. Understand? In terms of morality.
That's why I mentioned the government, because we know say the government want that, and this is all they say, okay, this is why the government is needed. You know what I mean? Right? So we know they are so them operate. And that's how the government operate. They do things, say they're doing for the people. And one of them is to provide electricity, to provide roads, to provide these things.
Right.
And once they are providing these things, they say, okay, this is why I am needed.
Right.
Yeah.
So the quality of life, right? When we look
Yeah.
at quality of life,
Right.
when these technological advancements take place and occur, has the quality of life improved or decreased with these advancements?
It decreased.
It decreased.
Yeah,
It
but
decreased.
Brass, I want to say this. Remember, and we discussed this before, right? Human beings go through ages higher. And we in the age of technology. This is what this age is. It's not based on human development, right? We've been through the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the Gold Age, the whatever
You
age,
name it.
modern age. In these stages, specific things are dominating these ages. There's
Right.
been a spiritual age where you find that humanity was concerned about humanity and life and living and the earth and the environment.
Right.
So we see these ages happening, and what happens during these ages? The masses make these things to be true because they're moving from one age to the other. In a technological age, there is no human advancement. It doesn't exist, Roots.
There's no
That is the
consideration
reality.
for it. There's no
Yeah,
consideration for it.
there's
And
no consideration for it.
everybody on the live, we are begging to please like the live, share the live, please, and leave a comment. You know what I mean? It help the channel, people more people to see the channel.
And remember, we are reason about the fact that Jamaica and the Cuban doctor program. Is it because of US pressure? Is this a crisis for the Caribbean? And as you know, this is a perfect balance Trodclass. And we reason from a Pan-African perspective. So that is where we're taking the reason from looking at the implication this has for the Caribbean at this difficult time and this difficult moment when we see a lot of countries under pressure from the mighty USA.
Yeah. So when me I say about the government them, right? Me I try to look on it from them perspective, that is not my perspective, because you know what I mean, so we are Rasta, we prefer
So that's why I'm saying to clarify
away
that.
from them technology and for them thing, and I know where we want, but me I say from them perspective now, with a embargo, with a sanction, they can't be able to do the things that they set out to do, to fix the roads and build the things and to vote for them and keep them in power.
In the moment.
I'm just saying that this is how they look at it. This
in
is
the
how they
moment.
look
So
at
I
it.
say add in the moment.
But in the moment, they might live. In the moment, they want
historically, when history go give them a different legacy, if
they want to be in power in the moment.
But what I'm saying, Okavango, right? If they decide to take the hard road, history is going to
vindicate
them the justification. History go show say, yo, you know what? It did rough in at the moment, but the man did make the right decision.
Right.
And that's why I say,
what evidence
in the moment.
What evidence you have to that?
We can look for a manly situation. Historically, now, manly come out and say, yo, this was the right way to do. Everybody come out and attest to that and say, yo, the road the manly did that say for go was the better road to have God. So even though in the moment the people made a decision to say,
and end up like Cuba. And end up like Cuba.
Because we have to go the road where manly didn't want to go.
We didn't go.
Right.
We didn't go.
Yeah, but so we'll end up like Cuba if we did go.
But what I'm saying, the people today, when them look on history, The people them come and say this would have been the better road.
Oh, so what example do you have to say would have been better? That's what I'm saying. Because we can look at Cuba now and see the situation Cuba is in, the pressure that Cuba is under, and we can say that that's the pressure we would be under. Right. That's the pressure we would have been in. So what we
would have a greater sovereignty and awareness of ourselves as a people.
And more healthcare professionals.
Yeah, but
we might not have the technological advancement, but the human development would have been better.
If you tell people at Jamaica that is what you're gonna give them, right now they're not gonna take that over what it is right now.
But this is why I'm saying that in the moment they're not gonna take it. But history, when them look back at this thing, they're gonna say, you know what, this is what we should have taken. And that's the point I'm making.
I'm saying right now, if you ask people if they prefer to be like Cuba, they will say no, they don't want to be like Cuba. Because that's what you're offering. You're offering to be like Cuba. If we are going away, if Jamaica had gone the way of Manly, would be like Cuba. So that's what you're offering. And people say no to that. They prefer have the crisis of the health professionals that we have it now. And
run a survey amongst Jamaicans and see who them rank as the best leader Jamaica ever see.
Well, what I would like to see is a clear strategy to fill the void and fill this gap that is going to be left by the Cuban doctors. And the government needs to come out and let the people know what is the alternative plan in the short term, in the medium term, and the long term, because we hope this will go on for the next half century, which would have been another milestone. But unfortunately, they've taken the decision not to renew some of the contracts and extend some of the contracts, and the new professionals who were coming in because their tenure ended will not be traveling to Jamaica anymore. So we want to know what is the alternative and what is the plan.
I have a little, you call it a theory or a hint or something like that. I'm gonna say maybe we're going to discuss a part of it maybe in future chat class. The Sahel countries, a couple of countries, but I'm going to mention the Sahel countries. We have seen a couple of them sign an agreement with America, some medical agreement with America. It's worth millions of dollars. I am wondering if Jamaica is also going to sign that agreement, and that's what we are looking at to get that big, you know what I mean, money. Because something I have to give. It must, because it cannot be just that they're giving up the Cuban doctors for nothing, right? So I have a feeling something like that is coming, but let's pay attention.
So again, U.S. pressure again.
But that would be U.S. pressure. That would be like, do I prefer this or that? You know what I mean?
U.S. pressure again. Them have this program what them want to run, which is directly opposed to the Cuban program. So you are affiliated to the Cuban program. We'll pressure you from coming out of the Cuban program because we want you to be in this program.
No, I wouldn't say it run against the Cuban program. I'm just saying that we see the side of the sign in this thing. It was against the Cuban program. But it could have easily well worked with the Cuban program because
quite a few countries have signed that agreement.
I think it's called disease, like prevent disease from spreading. I don't exactly remember how it's signed.
It's a medical assistance. We're not sure of the details right now, but quite a few countries
have signed
it. Yeah,
and it's to present the spread of like something like the COVID is not again. To prevent it from happening again. So it could have worked with the Cuban program, but I'm saying maybe something like that coming, and they have to choose either this or that. You know what I mean?
That's what I said.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
But in light of Rubio going to Jamaica, because there's a visit in the pipeline for Rubio go to Jamaica, do you think this has played a role or have an impact in influencing the Jamaican government decision, despite the fact They said that they have been having these negotiations since 2023.
Mm.
It could be, and most likely it is. You know what I mean? So we see the way how US is United States pressure with countries all over the world to side with them or side with the US, the way how they do things. So most likely it is. You know what I mean? And I think Donald Trump is pushing for Rubio to become the next president of Cuba. So hey,
There you go.
Wow.
American
So, you know,
interests.
it's just as we say in this age of where we talk so much about freedoms and, you know, democracy and all these things. But these moves that we're seeing taking place on the international scene at the moment are not reflective of the values that are alleged to be indicative of democracy and freedom. So, you know, I want to see the people looking at this thing. And that's why I said that it's not about complaints, right? Because what we observe is that a lot of time when things happen, because something might not personally affect us. And I deliberately use the word personally, right? As opposed to directly. Because they, whether we are aware of it or not, they directly affect us, right? They directly affect us. But they might not personally affect us because we don't see the effect on a personal level, right? So because of that, we choose to ignore these things. And what I'm saying is that there's a need, there's a call for us as the people to look into these things outside of on a personal level, outside of on a personal level, and look at it on a human level and make our decision from there.
I've seen we're seeing the Foreign Affairs Minister, Camilla Johnson. That's her name. I'm getting it right.
Yeah.
She
I
said,
mean,
you're right. So she said it's a breakdown in negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
So since it's a breakdown in negotiations, I wish that the Jamaican government and the Cuban government can go back to the table and
And
come to some
renegotiate.
American solution where, you know what I mean, we can find some balance, because this is the perfect balance,
Mm.
some balance where, you know, we can go back to this historic
Long-standing
or
agreement.
relationship.
historic or this traditional bond what we have with Cuba, you know what I mean, where, you know what I mean, we benefit from Jamaica and the Caribbean benefit from
Yes, I.
their medical personnel,
Yes,
and
I.
you know what I mean, the personnel benefit also from
Yes,
this
I.
association. So
Yeah, man.
go
So,
You're
to
right.
the table, you know what I
right,
mean. And what she's
right.
saying is is what is going on. No pressure from the US, and they can go to the table and find a
Mm,
solution. And
Yes, I.
you know what I mean, because the repercussions,
It's
especially in
great.
rural
It's
Jamaica,
potentially great.
for poor Jamaicans, it's
Potentially
it's gonna be
great.
devastating. It's gonna be
mhm,
devastating. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Because the Cuban doctor is a big part of the whole Jamaican medical setup.
Yes,
So
I.
I hope, you know what I mean, they can find some solution.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man,
Give.
once again,
Mm.
you know, we are thank the viewers them for joining the perfect balance Trodclass, you know,
Big
as
up.
we continue to share and talk about the things that shape our communities and our region and affect our future. We want them to share, like, and subscribe to the Trodclass and make sure the thing I reach to the people, and because we give a different perspective from the mainstream media and what you would hear out there from other people who are discussing the topic, you know, with no bars or no words spear.
Where's that? The
Once,
Liam stream,
once,
aka mainstream.
once
Yeah,
African
man.
people, anywhere in Africa, anywhere in the Caribbean, anywhere African people there, anywhere but black African people are excel, or anywhere African people is being oppressed. That's where we are. You know what I mean? I want to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
man.
More than anything, you know, We as a people, we must always keep this word, man. Solidarity,
Key.
solidarity, solidarity.
Mm.
That is the most important thing for
Yes,
us
I.
as African people.
So that's the word of the day. Solidarity.
Yes, I. Mm-hmm.
Solidarity,
Solidarity.
And
Yeah, man.
balance. And balance.
Perfect balance.
perfect
Mm-hmm.
balance.
Yes, I.
Yeah, man.
Give
I hate that,
thanks.
.
Yeah, man. Give thanks to the item who joined, who commented, who liked. And I'm just saying, I'm just want to say as well that I remember before we were able to go live, we always were saying we need the numbers, we need the numbers, we need the numbers. So we're saying like if you really enjoy the work that's being provided and presented by the Perfect Balance Right class, there's nothing wrong with showing that love, showing that support. Hit the like button, hit the comment, hit the share, subscribe. You understand what I'm saying? Show that this is a valuable part of what we need as a people. You understand? I noticed that it's almost as if the support is going down, whereas the support supposed to be going up. You get me? Because this is something that we're talking and addressing things that's gonna affect us one day, sooner or later. And it's only by having a clear awareness of what's going on and where things are going that we can formulate a solid decision as to where we are going to stand in the conflict ahead. You understand? So we're saying like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about the programming. Have them come on, have them be a part of the discussion. Come on, be a part of the discussion, and let's move forward collectively. You know, one perfect balance, one perfect love. Give thanks, you know?
International.
Yes, sir.